All right, everyone, we got some random facts for you today. Hope you enjoy. Nick, what's our first random fact?
A cloud weighs around 1 million tons. It typically has a volume around 1 kilometer to the third and a density around 1.003 kilograms per m to the third. That's a density around 0.4% lower than the air surrounding it.
Hell
That's
yeah.
how it's able to float.
That's nice.
Giraffes are 30 times more likely to get hit by lightning than people. There are only 5 well-documented fatal lightning strikes on a giraffe between 1996 and 2010, but due to the population of the species just being 140,000 during this time, it makes for about 0.003 lightning deaths per 1,000 giraffes each year. This is 30 times the equivalent fatality rate for humans.
Wow.
Identical twins don't have the same fingerprints.
Oh, wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Earth's rotation is changing speed. It's actually slowing down. This means that on average that the length of day increases by around 1.8 seconds per century. So 600 million years ago, a day just lasted 21 hours. Your brain is consistently eating itself. The process is called phagocytosis, where cells envelop and consume smaller cells or molecules to remove them from the system. Don't worry, phagocytosis isn't harmful, but actually helps preserve your gray matter.
Nice.
The largest piece of fossilized dinosaur poo discovered is over 30 centimeters long and over 2 liters in volume.
That's a lot of shit.
Yeah, it is a lot of shit. Believed to be a Tyrannosaurus rex turd, the fossilized dung, also named as coprolite, is helping scientists better understand what the dinosaurs ate. So it's like probably a stomach. Well, yeah, it's the same thing.
Digestion analysis.
That can lead to a lot, yeah. The universe's average color is called cosmic latte. It's from a 2002 study from the astronomers that found the light coming from galaxies averaged into a beige color that's close to white. Animals can experience time differently from humans. To smaller animals, the world around them moves more slowly. Compared to human salamanders and lizards, for example, experience time more slowly than cats and dogs. This is because of the perception of time depends on how quickly the brain can process incoming information. That'd be kind of weird to be a lot slower than the things are moving around me.
Yeah.
Water might not be wet. This is because scientists define wetness as a liquid's ability to maintain contact with a solid surface, meaning the water itself is not wet, but can make another object wet. So that's been scientifically proved.
What if it makes itself wet?
Water's water, and it's a liquid form that can't become wet, because wet is the consequence of a liquid touching a solid. Or
so it can't combine with itself, or it can't?
It can, but that doesn't make it wet. That makes it more of a liquid. That makes it more volume.
So wetness is only when liquid is applied to a solid?
Yes.
I must disagree with those scientists. Water is wet inherently.
Wow. It inherits the consequence of wet, which makes it wet.
You can't make an artificial distinction between liquid and solid, saying that water can't be wet unless it is attached to a solid. It is wet by itself because it is the wetness that makes it.
Well, wet is only justified by water usually in context because of chemical construction and the way things soak up other materials. You know what I mean? Like if you had something soaked in liquid mercury, I don't think it would be soaked in liquid mercury. I'd think it would be covered or absorbed, you know? I don't think that would make it wet. I think that would be more infused with mercury, right?
I think wet should be a synonym for liquid. Because we're all just talking about language here. We're all just talking about words and what they mean, but the actual physical matter does its own thing regardless of our words.
So, how long do you think a chicken's lived for without its head?
A few hours.
The longest living chicken without its head that lived, it was 18 months.
Wow.
And it was Mike the Chicken's incredible feat was recorded back in the 1940s in the USA. He survived as his jugular vein and most of his brainstem were left mostly intact, ensuring just enough brain function remained for survival. In the majority of cases, a headless chicken dies in a matter of minutes. You can look that up.
Yeah.
All the world's bacteria stacked on top of each other would stretch for 10 billion light years. Together, Earth's 0.001 millimeter long microbes could wrap around the Milky Way over 20,000 times.
Damn.
Wearing a tie can reduce blood flow to the brain 7.5%. It was a study found in 2018 that wearing a necktie can reduce the blood flow to your brain up to 7.5%, which can make you feel dizzy, nauseous, and cause headaches. They can also increase the pressure in your eyes if too tight and are great at carrying germs. The fear of long words is called hippopotamonstrossus equipital. The 36-letter word was first used by Roman poet Horace in the 1st century BCE to criticize those writers with an unreasonable penchant for long words. It was American poet Amy Nushukimatali, possibly afraid of their own surname, who coined the term how we know it in 2000. The world's oldest dog lived to 29 and a half years old, while the median age a dog reached tends to be about 10 to 15. Australian cattle dog Bluey survived to the ripe age of 29 and a half. The world's oldest cat lived to 38 years and 3 days, and its name was Cream Puff. It was the oldest cat to ever live. The sun makes a sound, but we can't hear it. It's in the form of pressure waves. It makes a sound. The wavelength of the pressure waves from the sun is measured in hundreds of miles, however, meaning they are far beyond the range of human hearing. Mount Everest isn't the tallest mountain on Earth. Mauna Kea and Mauna Loa in Hawaii, the twin volcanoes, are taller than Mount Everest due to the 4.2 kilometer of their heights being submerged underwater. The twin volcanoes measure a staggering 10.2 kilometers in total compared to Everest's paltry 8.8.
Ah, but you see, Everest has a higher elevation.
Above sea level, which makes it typically taller, but they're not bigger, you know? Our solar system has a wall. It's called the heliopause, the region of space in which solar wind isn't hot enough to push back the wind of particles coming from distant stars. Is often considered the boundary wall of the solar system in interstellar space. So you could probably see it as a quasar almost.
Oh.
But that's a concept, that's a different type of concept. It's supposed to be a dimension. Octopuses don't actually have tentacles. They have 8 limbs, but they're arms. Technically, when talking about cephalopods, scientists define tentacles as limbs with suckers at their end. Octopus's arms have suckers down most of their length. Most maps of the world are wrong. On most maps, the Mector projection, first developed in 1569, is still used. This method is wildly inaccurate and makes Alaska appear as large as Brazil and Greenland 14 times larger than it actually is. For a map to be completely accurate, it would need to be a life size and round, not flat.
Indeed.
But that's kind of what we're accomplishing right now.
With globes.
Yeah, and satellites. NASA generally faked part of the moon landing, which, before we get into this, I agree. I agree that there might have been pauses and commercial breaks, but in the end, if you talk to those people and you record, we had recordings back then, we went to the moon. But while Neil Armstrong's first steps on the lunar surface were categorically not faked, The astronauts' quarantine protocol when the astronauts arrived back on the Earth was largely just one big show.
Yes. They were afraid of space germs.
Of course, I remember that, and we're super young.
Yeah.
Which I don't think that people from Earth should be upset with themselves that that's the case, but that's good. Comets smell like rotten eggs. A comet smells like rotten eggs, urine, burning matches, and almonds. Traces of hydrogen sulfide, ammonia, sulfur dioxide, and hydrogen cyanide were all found in the makeup of Comet 67P. Churyumov Gerasimenko. Promotional postcards were even commissioned in 2016 carrying the pungent scent of a comet. The Earth's poles are moving. I think this has already been justified. The magnetic reversal of North and South Pole has happened 171 times in the past 71 million years. It's due to a flip. It could come soon as the pole is moving at around 55 kilometers per year and an increase over the 15 kilometers per year until 1990. And you can die from laughter. It's a number people have, typically due to the intense laughter causing a heart attack or suffocation. Comedy shows could come with a warning. Chainsaws were first invented for childbirth.
Really?
Yeah, it was developed in Scotland in the late 18th century to help and aid to speed up the process of symphysiotomy, widening the public cartilage, and removal of disease-laden bone during childbirth. It wasn't until the start of the 20th century that we started using chainsaws for wood chopping. And we all know ants don't have lungs, they breathe through their skin. Depending on the species. They have like 9 or 10. They breathe through spiracles.
Excellent. Well, that's going to do it for us. These were some random facts for you. Thank you all for watching. Have a good one.